Hi everyone, it's Erin from the Provincial Farmhouse. In today's video, I'm going to be creating a Christmas ornament using some of the new IOD release. For my project today, I'm going to be using this 10 centimeter wide clear ornament that I got off eBay. I'm going to be gluing the two sides together using some Gorilla Super Glue gel. Once I have enough glue on each of the sides, I'm going to press the two sides together. Ordinarily, there are two loops that you need to line up on ornaments like this, but this one unfortunately got a bit damaged in transit. I'm then going to use a wet wipe to wipe off any excess glue. When the glue was dry, I took out Paint Couture's 2-in-1 primer in grey, and I'm going to be applying that over my surface using a makeup sponge. I'm going to be doing 2 coats. This is going to help my paint adhere to this shiny surface. I'm just using grey for this project as it's what I have open. However, Paint Couture's primer also comes in white. I let my first coat dry for about an hour, and then I came in with a second coat and I gave that a few hours to dry as well. I'm then going to be using IOD's new Christmas Tapers mold, specifically the Santa design. I'm just going to dust the Santa face section with cornstarch, and then I'm going to be using some dust air dry clay. I'm working it into the details just on the Santa face, and then once I'm happy with that, I'm going to sort of press down hard, making sure that I have the details imprinted, and then I'm going to pull it out. I'm then going to have a little look at the position of it, and then I took out IOD's Christmas tree mold. Now this is from last year's release, so unfortunately it is discontinued, and I'm just working clay into the garland section. I'm pushing the clay out either side, and then I will flex the mold and pull it out. I'm going to end up casting the other garland design on the other side as well. I'm then going to be using some Sealy's Quickset wood glue on the back of the Santa casting, and then I'm going to position that on my ornament and press down. I then went along and just with my fingernail, I'm going to pull off any excess clay from around the base of Santa's beard. I'm then going to be adding some glue to the back of each of those garlands that we created earlier, making sure that I've got nice even coverage of the glue there. And then I'm going to position it up the top and have it sort of draping around the sides. And I'm going to gently press down all those little garland bits and pieces there so that they're all really molded to the surface and all stuck down well. And I'm going to repeat the same process for the other side. Next, I'm going to be using this little bell mold that I had in my stash. I believe you can get these on Amazon and Etsy. And then I'm going to work some of my air dry clay into the larger bell design, just pushing out the excess with my fingers like before, then tidying up the edges. Then I'm going to flex that. And this particular design is going to be going up the top. But first, I just wanted to reposition Santa just a little bit so that the bells had room to be up the top. Then I'm going to glue that piece down. Next, I'm going to be dusting just part of this mold here. I want to create some smaller little pine cones that are the right scale to go with the garland. So I'm just going to press some clay into the smaller pine cones, and I'm going to pull off any of the excess clay that I don't want. And these really are the perfect size. Again, you can get this particular mold on Amazon. I'm just going to continue to make more of those so that I have 3 on each side, and then I'm going to glue them in place. Next, I'm going to be casting some of the ornaments from this mold, and I'm just rolling up some clay and then pressing it into one of the smaller ornament designs, and I'm just going to pull off that excess clay from around the edges. I'm going to be casting I think I did about 4 of those. I wanted a couple on each of the sides of the garlands, and I'm also going to be casting a couple of this round design that has the star in the center, and also the other one, the other smaller ornament with the line detail. So I ended up casting a couple of those, and I'm going to be gluing them down on each side. I sort of want it to look like they're coming off the garland, sort of hanging off there. So I'm just going to continue to glue those down, making sure that I have the same ornaments on each side. But I did try and alternate how I had them displayed. So on the left hand side I've got that round ornament closer to the top, on the other side I have the other style. So I just continued gluing those down, and I did end up casting some more of those, and I continued on adding them on the back side of the ornament as well. I also cast another one of the bell designs to go up the top on the other side of the ornament. I let the castings dry overnight, and the next day I came in with Paint Couture's Italian Ivory mineral paint. This is an all-in-one paint. It does have a built-in top coat, and I'm going to be painting over the entire ornament. I just want to have a nice neutral background. I'm loving the creamy tones of this beautiful Italian Ivory mineral paint, and again, just really working it into all of those details. I ended up doing 2.5 coats. The third partial coat was just doing touch-up in some areas that were maybe a little bit lighter than others. Once my paint was completely dry, I took out Paint Couture's Evergreen chalk paint. This is a darker green paint color there, and I'm going to start adding it over the top of the garland. For this particular ornament, I decided to go with more traditional colors. Now, one of my favorite things is to do a snowy Christmas style. In Australia, we do not get to have a snowy Christmas, so I do love to create winter-themed ornaments to enjoy instead. However, I really felt like this Santa called for more of a traditional Christmas color palette, so I ended up going around the garland and adding 1 coat of this evergreen. It only needed 1 coat. It is very highly pigmented. And I also wasn't too worried if I went on any of the other areas, because the Italian Ivory paint we already have down has that built-in top coat, so I can wipe back any errors with a wet wipe as long as I get in there and fix that up pretty quickly. Once the evergreen paint was dry, I took out Paint Couture's Amazon Luxe Metallic, and I'm going to go over the top of the garland. Now, this is going to give it more shine. It's going to give a bit more depth as well. And in adding the evergreen down first, I'm not having to use as much of my Luxe Metallic to get the look that I want. Next, I took out Paint Couture's Red Velvet Mineral Paint. This is a beautiful classic Christmas red, and I'm going to be adding that to Santa's hat. Just going around and just trying to be careful not to get any on the background there. The hat has so many details. It even has creases as well, so IOD have really given us a lot of details in these molds. And then I went in and added the Red Velvet Mineral Paint on just the bow section where we added the bells up the top, if that makes sense. So just the bow and also the little ribbons coming off it. I'm also going to be adding the red to the other side as well, where we have this same design. If I inspire you to try any of the Paint Couture products used in today's video, I would really appreciate it if you would use my affiliate link. I will put it in the description and on the screen. I just get a little thank you from Paint Couture in return. When that was dry, I took out Paint Couture's Pale Gold Heavy Metal Metallic. So this is very similar to Paint Couture's Antique Gold Luxe Metallic, but it is a lot more vibrant. The color is just a bit more richer. And I'm going to be applying it to the bells and also the ornaments today. I ended up doing 2 coats. I am going over the top of a lighter colored surface. And when you're using these heavy metal metallics, you definitely want to make sure that you get in there and you stir it really, really well, because all of those pigments tend to settle down to the bottom. We are dealing with a water-based paint, so you want to make sure you stir it really, really well every time you go to use it, just to make sure that you're getting all of those pigments mixed really well and it's appearing as vibrant as it really is. So I'm going to continue to work my way around the ornament, adding that beautiful pale gold on all of the ornaments. As I said previously, I went with more traditional Christmas colors, the green, the red, and the gold, but you could definitely customize this. This is definitely a craft that you can build upon and paint to your taste. Next, I got some more of the pale gold on my paintbrush, and I'm just going to go around and add a few little dots of that in the areas on the garland where it looks like there might be little lights. This is definitely something I like to do. I did it in a lot of crafts last year when this mold originally came out, and I just love it because they look like little lights in amongst the garland. Next, it was time to paint the pine cones. I did start using Paint Couture's Van Dyke Brown Glaze, but it felt like it was a bit too light, so I wiped that back and instead came in with Paint Couture's Pine Cone chalk paint, which you think would be perfect, but it just wasn't quite dark enough, so I decided to pull a little bit of that back and then layer on some of Paint Couture's Espresso mineral paint so that I had the depth. You could still see bits and pieces of that pine cone chalk paint, but adding this on top really darkened it up and got it looking the way that I wanted. Before it was completely dry, I then came in with a wet wipe, pulled a little bit of it back again just to create some depth and dimension. Next, I took out IOD's new classic Christmas stamp. This is from the most recent release. This is the first time I have ever used this stamp. So I'm going to peel the plastic backing off one side, and then I'm using some 220 grit sandpaper to gently scuff sand, or rather season the stamps so they're ready for ink or paint. Next, I'm going to be using some gold ink that I got from a place called Officeworks in Australia. This isn't the best quality, but I'm ultimately using it as a bit of a background. I'm just inking up this beautiful holly stamp from Classic Christmas Stamp, and then I'm pressing it down on the back side of the ornament. I don't need the details to be perfect because I'm going to clean off the stamp, and then when the design was dry, I used some of my IOD permanent black ink over the top, and I'm going to layer that over the top to bring back some of those details. I'm stamping over the top of a sealed surface, so unfortunately it did not come out perfect, but I still think it looks good. When that was dry, I took out Paint Couture's Van Dyke Brown Glaze, and I'm going to go over the top first with that glaze over the top of the Santa. I'm going to be using the glaze to bring out all of the details in that beautiful casting. Now remember, this paint has a built-in sealer, so I'm going to be able to use a wet wipe to wipe back as much or as little as I want. I have the freedom to do that. If you're not working with a paint that has the built-in top coat, make sure you put down a sealer before you apply any sort of glaze so that you can wipe that back. And as you can see, it's coming off quite easily. I just really want it to sit down in all of those crevices, really highlight Santa's lovely face and the beard. And then I'm also going to go around the edges of the ornament to just sort of really fill in any of those areas that were maybe looking a little bit too bright. I want this to have a vintage look, so this is definitely helping me achieve that. I'm then going to move on over to the other side. I like to work in sections so I can be sure that I'm happy with the amount of glaze that I'm using. Now, obviously, if this was a bit too grungy for you, this is definitely a step that you could leave out. Once that side was dry, I flipped the ornament over, and I'm going to repeat the same process on the other side using that Van Dyke Brown Glaze to give this more of a vintage look. Now, unfortunately, when I was wiping back the glaze from this side, the gold that we applied earlier, it just seemed to vanish. Look, it wasn't a great quality gold ink. I really hope that IOD creates some metallic inks. A gold and a silver, please, would be awesome, so we can use them with the stamps, because honestly, there's no quality like their inks. They really do have the best inks on the market. Now, I could have left it here, but I decided to take out Paint Couture's Crackle Step 1, and I'm going to be using it like a glue. So I'm going to apply it over the top of the sections where I have the garland. As I said, you could leave it there, but I wanted to add some sparkle and shine. So I'm going to be adding some German glass glitter, sheer frost specifically. This gives the look of ice or snow, so it is a bit more subtle. It's not really colored as such. And I'm going to sprinkle that over the top top of my Crackle Step 1. Now I did let the Crackle Step 1 dry for about 30 minutes, so it's sticky and tacky to the touch, which is why I like to use it as a glue. It does a really good job of holding that German glass glitter. So I'm just going to continue to apply that glitter over the top of the sections where I have that Crackle Step 1. And then I decided that I really liked the look of it and I wanted to also have some of that be on Santa, but I'm just going to be adding some of that Crackle Step 1 to the top part of his hat and the brim of his hat. So anywhere that there would be that white sort of fur look. And then I'm going to give it 30 minutes and then come in and add some more of that sheer frost German glass glitter. Next, I'm going to use some red velvet ribbon. I'm going to thread that through the top and then tie a knot. And here's our finished Christmas ornament. I'm really pleased with how this turned out. It was so fun to use the Christmas tapers Santa design in a different way, and now we have a beautiful classic Christmas ornament. Let me know what you think of this in the comments. If you enjoyed today's video, I would really appreciate it if you would hit that like button, comment, and share it out. If you haven't already, I would love it if you would hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any of our videos. You can find the products used today on our website, theprovincialfarmhouse.com.au. Thanks for watching.